Okay, Mike and I are at the barn and we are getting ready for our next estate sale, which starts in a couple days, but we thought we'd go through and take a look at some cool things that'll probably be sold to the pickers who come to our sales and find all these cool things. But we're just gonna go through and look at some cool stuff. Okay, we're gonna talk about some different things, and I'm just seeing some Carnival Toys. Mike, you want to talk about these?
No, we're just kind of walking around the shop and looking at some of these little oddball things that we've got. These are actually Carnival prizes that were given out to people that won the different crooked games at the Carnival. And they're made right with the Carnival. They have the molds for them and everything, and then everybody gets together and makes a bunch of them on a off night, and then they paint them all up and everything. But we've got quite a bunch of them that are, you know, there's ones for the rodeo that they would have along with the Carnival, and you know, there's a little dog. But anyway, they're not real expensive. I mean, we've got them for sale for just like $10 each, and they are just really, they're pretty uncommon collectibles. You won't, because they were so fragile, and the way they were carried from show to show with the Carnival, they were usually just broken up and destroyed.
Interesting.
One of the things about the Carnival toys is they're a cheap thing to collect. A lot of collectors like to go for things that are inexpensive, but they think are really cool. Like, if you look at the face of this guy here, you know, that's a pretty neat little molding job and painting job. But then you go over to some of the commercially done stuff, like this is, believe it or not, I've been around some of the best antiques in my life in the business, and I collect things that I like rather than things that are worth a bunch of money. And this is a pretty good sign. This is just a little 1920s cat spoon dish, and it's even got a broken leg, but it does stand up, right? So it doesn't look cockeyed when it's standing up. But you know, I mean, I could have had, you know, I, as a matter of fact, do have very valuable Egyptian pottery, but this is one of my favorite pieces. And very affordable, of course, too. That's the thing that's neat about buying things you like instead of what's worth a bunch of money. That photo of the monkey up there is kind of interesting. I did a estate sale with these people. We didn't run the sale, but I mean, I went to one of their liquidations, and Theta and Emerson Hall was their name. He was called the photographer of the stars by the people in Hollywood when he was shooting in the 40s and 50s. And what he did is he did movie photographs for like magazines and things related to the movie stuff. But he started out doing these calendars with pictures of monkeys dressed up as political figures or doctors and things like that. So it really kind of kicked off and got really popular in the 50s and 60s, but got quite a lot of his stuff here too. Emerson Hall was his name. Well, we've got some, this is interesting. Where'd that bell go? Should we start down? So anyway, here it is. I found it down the line. This is a bell from the boxing ring in Butte. And the way you can tell is to listen to it. So when the round starts, this is what you would hear in the background on the radio or later on television, and this is what it would sound like. But that's a pretty cool old bell. It's it's got some real history to it because there were an awful lot of fights in Butte that this bell was the one they used. These are oddball things. They're actually batteries. They're compartments for old batteries made by the Edison Company, and they had liquid in them. They used them in railroad cars, and out of Butte they used them in the streetcars. But they were just an item. A lot of people used them to make booze in after they discontinued use of the electric batteries that were wet cells like that. And there are very few of them left because people did break them, of course, especially when they made booze in them, because they'd get drunk and drop them. Some people know that I used to be a professional photographer, and I've got a lot of equipment. Some of the things I got because they just look cool. This is a lights enlarger that was made by the same company that makes Leica cameras, which is reputedly the best 35 millimeter camera that was ever made. But anyway, I got this one just because it looks cool. It's not a great piece. It's probably like early 1950s, maybe even up into the early 60s version. It's got the, well, I think with the unpainted bar, the chrome bar, it's a little bit earlier, so probably like the very early 50s. But it's just a 35 to 2 1/4 enlarger for enlarging negatives, black and white or color. But they were never any good. So here's some more of the photo equipment. I've got here, I've got tripods. Really good Bogan tripod. I remember when I bought that, I think I paid about $350 for that in the 50s, or not, 70s. And then I've got light stands for electronic flash units for the studio, background stands for hanging your background for shooting models and things. A lot of safe lights. All different kinds of safe lights. I've got a Gray Lab timer here, and there's just a lot of stuff. And then I've also got a lot of film processing things, like these stainless steel reels here. These are for 120 and these are for 35 millimeter, and you can actually, when you're doing a big shoot, you can process by just dipping this into a hard rubber tank full of chemistry, and so you're processing all those rolls at once. So it's a good, safe way of getting a lot of stuff done, because you're doing it by hand with chemistry that you already mixed and everything. And over here I've got a mixer for the water temperature control. You hook that up to your cold water line and hot water line. It mixes it to the right temperature and maintains that temperature. Lots of chemicals. Here's a lens that fits this big view camera I have over here. If you want to look at this, you can see how large the glass is on it. It's a Schneider Cymar lens, and so it's it fits this 8x10 camera here. The 8x10 camera is a Sinar, S-I-N-A-R, a really good professional camera. just tons of stuff. This is a copy stand for photographing. I used to do a lot of photography copy work for people, copying pictures and restoring them. Now we got a couple of dry mount presses for mounting photographs or art or anything to a mounting board for framing. Quite a lot of 4x5 sheet film that I still have here too, and you know, different speeds and different types, color. This is the one of the very first cases that Nikon put out to carry their camera kits in when the Nikon F came out. That would have been about 1965 or so. But I got stuff. Chains. We've got some different sizes of logging chains and just general good utility chains. We've got, these are actually for their tires for the wooden rims that the ore wagons used to have. This is kind of an interesting tool. It was used for picking up paving stones in the street in Butte. They pick up the granite pavers and replace them when they had a repair to do. These are supposedly, they're from Anaconda, and they're supposedly real cannonballs, and somebody made this out of those cannonballs. They're end irons for fireplace. These are all different cases for different kinds of things that we had, wooden boxes. That's what was used for lifting plate glass.
Oh.
They would put it in there and lift it. I mean, it's so heavy, like the glass for windows and stuff. That's a smasher for making grappa. The Italians made wine, and then they would distill that and make grappa. And so this was for smashing their grapes in Butte, Italians. This is an old still that I acquired about, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. Good size still, probably about a 70-gallon one. And it's all solid copper. And it was found, it's got some dents in it because it was found in a mine up above Butte. And, you know, that's a heavy duty still. They weren't just making it, it wasn't home brew.
Yeah.
These accordion type things are actually for putting on the running boards of old cars to put your luggage outside on the running board. So if you look here, you can see how this would go right onto the running board, and then you twist this to tighten it up. And so then you put your luggage on this side where it's flat, and it would hold your luggage in place when you were traveling.